Hi class, welcome to week 7. Week 7 is a little bit of a shortened week because of our fall break, but we still have some important things to cover. This week we'll be talking about language, and I will be giving you an extra credit option that I'll talk about in a little bit. So let's get started with language first. So what makes language so important? Quotations from famous speeches, those shown on pages 214 and 215 of your text, they demonstrate the power of language. Language is very powerful and can boost your speech's distinctiveness. It is important to realize that language or words are symbols that you create, learn, and use to express your thoughts and feelings. So, a couple things that I want you to just kind of take in. Symbolic. This is a word that represents what it is referring to either by association, resemblance, or convention. Arbitrary. The relationship between the word and what it stands for is random, subjective, or coincidental. Denotative meaning. This is the dictionary meaning, the literal accepted meaning, while the connotative meaning is an emotional and personal reaction to what you may have to the word. So culture consists of learned patterns of beliefs, attitudes, values, norms, practices, customs, and behaviors shared by a large group of people. Language helps people create, share, and transmit their cultural identity. And culture is ever changing, so a speaker is a part of multiple cultures that can influence language choices. None is more important to the speaker than the culture represented by the audience and connected to the speech topic. So, what can language do? Language can help you understand and create meaning, allows you to name experiences or things, unite people for a common cause, persuade thoughts and actions, help create and maintain inequity, and help create equality, freedom, healing, and empowerment. Remember that words are very powerful. Language can be used in attempts to make people feel inferior, but it can also help make them feel more able to do something. So now that we talked about the power of language, how do you use language effectively? The most important thing to do is be clear. Select a style and level of language that is clear and familiar. Beware of jargon. This is specialized or technical language, which can be confusing to your audience. Be cautious with abbreviations or specialized technical language. And also be cautious with acronyms, a word formed from initials or other parts of several words. Be correct. Selecting an incorrect word can occur when the speaker is not familiar with the best word for the situation or selects one that sounds similar to the correct word. Your language should be free of interpretation error, mispronunciations, and incorrect grammar. Some common mistakes are misplaced modifiers, when the modifier is too far away from what it is modifying. Pronouns. Always make sure the pronouns agree with the nouns. Went versus gone, using helping verbs. And subject-verb agreement. Single nouns, go with single verbs. Be specific. Get to the point and follow these tips. Use concrete words, words that relate to the use of the 5 senses. Eliminate unnecessary words and try to use active voice. Also, avoid cliches or overused words or phrases that have lost their effect because of this overuse. Avoid fillers and unnecessary sounds, words, or phrases that serve no purpose and do not add understanding to the message. Some of the best speakers are conversational speakers. This is the way people speak. It is radically different than written style. Read a paper aloud to test this. When you give a speech, you want to use an oral or verbal style rather than a written style. Also, be appropriate. Use culturally appropriate and unbiased language. Avoid singling out personal traits when they do not relate to the subject at hand. Use the name for an individual or group that they prefer. And avoid language that promotes stereotypes. Also use gender-neutral language or language that does not restrict understanding for certain groups of people. For example, avoid man and wife, chairman, housewife. It would be chairperson. Be distinctive. Paint an emotional picture in the minds of your readers. Use unique, attention-grabbing language. Okay, so now how do you boost your distinctiveness? Ways to appeal using language would have the audience imagining, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touching what you are referred to. You use vivid language that has enough appeals to keep your audience interested and listening. Making the language more remarkable, more understandable, and more memorable through the use of techniques or what's called tropes. Some of the tropes are similes, explicit comparisons between two things using like or as, metaphors, which are an implied comparison, personification, giving human traits to an object, idea, or animal, an oxymoron, connecting two ordinary contradictory words, hyperbole, use of exaggeration for emphasis. Irony is the use of words to convey a meaning that is opposite of the literal meaning. Onomatopoeia, words that imitate the sounds they represent. And finally, rhetorical questions, asking questions without expecting responses. Speech devices or schemes are the techniques of manipulating word order, which can help you create distinctive language. The following devices work pretty well with this. Repetition, replicating the same words, phrases, or sentences for emphasis. Assonance, repeating a similar vowel sound. Alliteration, repeating initial consonants in two or more words in close proximity. Parallelism, duplicating the same grammatical patterns more than once. Antithesis is a juxtaposition of contrasting ideas. Probably the most famous antithesis is ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And astodon, deliberately omitting conjunctions. All right, so your one bonus this week will be watching the I Have a Dream speech. All of the directions for that bonus is in the learning materials. I do encourage that you watch Dr. King's speech and analyze it. Okay, so now that we know about language, what are the elements of vocal delivery? Pitch is how low or high your voice is in frequency. It's determined by how fast or slow your vocal cords vibrate. If you have a monotone pitch, it's a constant pitch that is distracting and boring. Inflection can help vary your pitch to help you demonstrate enthusiasm, excitement, concern, or dedication. Volume is also important, how loud or soft you speak. Think about your videotaping and how loud you need to speak so that your volume comes through Go React. Rate is also important, how fast you speak. Pay attention to your audience and know what they need to stay interested and involved. So think when you're videotaping, what does your audience need to help stay interested? Pauses can be used for more than just slowing down your speaking rate. They are amazing at emphasizing important points and helping focus your audience's attention. They also help remove vocal fillers. Speakers tend to use like fillers when struggling for the next word. Use a pause instead. They'll allow the audience to consider what you just said. So removing vocal fillers, speakers tend to use fillers when struggling for the next word or sentence. So here's some ideas of how you can use pauses. Practice. The more familiar you are, the less you will reach for filler words. It's a process. It takes time. But the first step is to notice them consciously. Have someone draw attention to them. And when you record your speech, you can hear the fillers you may be using to help you with the next speech you record. It all comes down to vocal variety. Variety, fluctuations, changes, and adjustments to volume, pitch, rate, and pauses will add dramatic emphasis to your speech. Pronunciation is also important, the standard or commonly accepted way to make a word sound. Ask someone you know to assess your pronunciation skills before presenting your next speech. It'll really help. Articulation is how completely and clearly you say each word. As with pronunciation, good articulation can also boost ethos as a speaker, often used synonymously with enunciation, which is the distinctiveness and clarity of words. Dialect. All cultures and co-cultures have their unique ways of talking, so strive to use correct vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Dialects, they can be regional or ethnic. If your dialect is significantly different from the group you're presenting to, it can be distracting. So try to use a more standard or widely understood vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation to achieve understanding. So that's vocal delivery, but what are the elements of physical delivery? How can you express yourself physically through your speech? Appearance includes your dress and grooming choices. What does this mean? I think this is actually really important for students that are taping right out of their home. So for appearance considerations, make sure your appearance helps and does not hurt your speech. Distracting items include hats, flashy colors, excessive jewelry, etc. Eye contact, probably one of the most important aspects of your physical delivery, shows the audience that you're interested in them by establishing and maintaining eye contact. Facial expressions. Use your facial features and muscles to convey your inner thoughts or feelings. Make sure your facial expressions match the tone of your speech. Be natural, and think about the 6 universal facial expressions that have been identified around the world: happiness, fear, surprise, disgust, anger, and sadness. Finally, gestures. When you use your body or parts of it, it conveys a message to your audience. Emblems, speech-independent gestures such as waving, are culturally learned, while illustrators are speech-dependent gestures, illustrating the height of a child, for example. Movement is also important, the use of motion and space during the speech. Now, how you use your space depends on your topic and also depends on your audience and the occasion and, of course, where you're recording your speech. Posture, the position of your body during a speech, is also important. Good posture shows that you are interested in and excited about your speech, while bad posture indicates boredom. I'm going to quickly go over the methods of delivery. Extemporaneous speaking. This is considered the most acceptable contemporary method of delivery. You plan out, rehearse, and deliver your speech from a key-word outline. Manuscript delivery occurs when you are directly reading word for word from your speech. This is tough, though, because it can definitely hurt your eye contact if you're reading word for word. I suggest never, ever memorize your speech. Memorizing means you rehearse the speech so much you commit it to memory. I would not memorize any of the speeches in our class. We won't be doing impromptu speaking on the spot. This is with very little, if any, preparation or rehearsal. So then how will you rehearse an extemporaneous speech? Well, you want to make sure that it sounds good to the ear, not just to the eye. So read aloud from your preparation outline. Choose supporting materials. Understand your materials. Practice saying the support out loud. Employ dramatic effects. Definitely use repetition, and consider how your PowerPoints are going to add, not distract from your speech. So reduce your preparation outline down to just those hints that will remind you what you want to say. If you include too much detail, you will be prone to reading it, thus avoiding eye contact with your audience. And then obviously the next 2 speeches will have PowerPoints, so you'll want to prepare your presentation aids. Visual aids should be practiced beforehand, and they make sure they work and timed correctly, especially with your videotaping. So think about what we talked about, especially now that you're going to start looking at visual aids and looking at what do you want to put in, graphs, images. There's a lot going on with the PowerPoints. So I would look at the readings, do the readings for this week. You also have your quiz, and of course, as always, contact me with any questions you may have.